halfway point, we all get a drink of water because we all need, and thank you, Debbie, because we all need a drink of water. And Debbie, you'll have to go back, and I think you came in after the homework. You'll have to go back and listen. You got an extra sticker for your homework. Yep, and Loretta is setting a goal for how to stay within her points on the weekend. Okay, so Loretta, you got to tell us what you're going to do though. So in order to get your sticker, you need to be a little bit more specific. Remember, I want you to do all of your goals need to be STAR goals. They need to be specific, truly doable, actionable, and relevant to your journey. So to be specific, we need to go back and figure out how you're going to do that. So if you're going to put the number of, points in a jar and just pull from that, or if you're going to do the Post-it note thing, or however you're going to keep up with that. And that's how we're going to do your homework. Okay. So for the second half, for tonight's second half, we're going to talk about a Disney detox, and that could apply to anything. And Janelle wants to know if we get in 10,000 steps a day. Most days I'm close. My goal right now is only 8,000. Is only 8,000 steps a day. Pre-COVID, I was blowing past 10,000 steps a day, and while we were at Disney, we were at about 12 to 16. I'll have to go over that in just a second. But okay, so again, if you are new with us, we are in the second half of chat number 267, and the topic was how to actually achieve your goals. And today is April the 3rd. If you need to go back and watch this later, it's on YouTube. It'll be on YouTube. It's just youtube.com, search If You Have an Egg, or you can print out everything that I'm talking about probably by tomorrow night from IfYouHaveAnEgg.com. So in the second half, we're going to talk about detoxing from Disney. A lot of you all are getting ready to go on trips. So we are officially back from Disney. I had somebody at Sunday school this morning ask if we were glad to be back home. And without even looking at each other, John and I both said, no. Ha, ha, ha. So honestly, if Casey and Alan had been willing to just ship the girls down, we would have gladly stayed for another week. So it absolutely would not have been a problem. But we are back. We are on terra firma, and we are feeling the weight of our trip, literally. So we're going to talk first about a Disney detox, and then I'm going to give you I did a copycat recipe for one of the things that we ate while we were down there. So in the past, let me get another sip of water and breathe for a second. Okay, so in the past, we have come back miserable in any kind of vacation. It doesn't matter where it is. So in the past, we have come back miserable. Our tummies have been messed up, and we're usually staring at quite a few pounds that we need to take care of when we get back. A lot of you all, many of you all are still preparing for spring break. I know some of you all have just come back off of spring break, but many of you are planning spring break trips, and summer is just around the corner. And a few weeks ago, we talked about some summer plans, getting ready for summer plans. So I'm going to share with you what went well, what could have, gone differently, and then plan for, now that we're back home, what we're going to do. And again, at the end, there's a special copycat recipe from our trip. So the collateral damage from the trip was 3 pounds for John, and a little over 2 for me. So that sounds like a lot, but that's not too bad. In years past, it's been pounds. So we all know, part of that's going to be fluid, part of that's water retention, part of it's from being on our feet so much. But anyway, so the collateral damage was about 3 pounds for John and a little over 2 for me. So this is the collateral damage. This is the part that didn't go so well. My feet were stiff and swollen by the time we got home. Painfully stiff and swollen by the time we got home. Like, couldn't curl my toes up. And I'm standing here curling my toes up because it's already better today in my shoes, just thinking about it. But so it wasn't the bottoms of them that hurt. The tops of my feet hurt. I don't know if anybody else has this problem, but they were stiff and swollen by the time we got home. But there was no tummy trouble. So I know this was the collateral damage, but I'm just going to mention there was no tummy trouble for either of us. So woohoo, because that has been, an issue in the past. Okay, things that went well. So we planned and prepped food for the trip down, and we stuck with it. We didn't make any impromptu fast food stops. No peanut M&Ms were consumed. And we didn't make any wild side trips, even though Alan tried to get us to stop at Buc-ee's. No, we did not take any wild side trips, and we didn't stop on the way. So we ate what we took. So we prepped some things, packed some things, and we talked about that 2 weeks ago. So if you missed what my Disney packing was, and again, this could apply to anything. It doesn't just have to be for there. It could be for the beach. It could be for Dollywood if you live here in town. It could be, sorry, that looked funny. Anything. I mean, it could be it doesn't have to be for a theme park. It could be anything if you were just going to go see, your kids or your grandkids or whatever. So that was 2 weeks ago. We talked about how to prep for that. But we stuck with what we had made and what we had prepped. So we did really well with that. The selections that we made at Publix for us to keep at the camper were reasonable. And they were pretty close to what I had planned. So we got yogurt, hard-boiled eggs. We got lighter lunch meat. Yep, Sylvia for the ballpark. Exactly. We got lighter lunch meat. I got slider-sized buns. We wanted, instead of getting bread this time, I got little slider-sized buns. Number one, that limited us to 8 little sliders, and they were much smaller. And I think it was 3 points for a slider. And it made just the right size, sandwich for either one of us. I got fruit, fat-free milk, things like that. So you can watch 2 weeks ago to see what we purchased. So that went well. We did take time to rest each day. I think there are lots of times that we're going so fast that we tire ourselves out, and then we're just like, yeah, whatever, give me an ice cream. Give me a Dole Whip. I'm exhausted. I'll eat Dole Whip for supper. And so we rested. We took time to rest every single day. I took a nap every day. Every single day I took a nap. Woohoo! When does that ever happen? And we still averaged 12 to 16,000 steps every day. John packed our bikes. So other than sore bottoms, we did not realize how little we ride our bicycles until day 2. And then we were both like, oh, every time we sat down, our bottoms hurt. But anyway, so John packed our bicycles, and other than sore bottoms, we did get quite a few miles in on them. Instead of spending so much time riding the bus or renting a golf cart. So that was good. That was extra exercise. And those were muscles that I haven't used in a while. Okay. So that was good. Okay. Whew. I can slow down a little bit. Things that could have gone better. Let's take another sip of water before we talk about that, because this is one of them. So things that could have gone better. Okay. It's going to happen. 25 years. Been doing Weight Watchers 25 years. Been going on this trip. I think it's 40 to 45 times now. I've been doing this a lot, but I still have areas that could have gone better. So I mentioned previously that no peanut M&Ms were involved in this trip. No, that's because I bought a bag of snack mix from Aldi before the trip. And I don't know if y'all have seen the bags of snack mix at Aldi. They're about this big. I do not know how many ounces they are. I didn't bother to look, but they're about that big. Just a few days in, and they're like hideously inexpensive. I mean, as far as snack mix goes, they're really not expensive, and it's a pretty good size bag. Okay, I don't eat raisins, so I should have bought one that had raisins. Okay, I did not. I purchased one that had dried cranberries, which I love. So let's just say a few days in, it was deemed the evil snack mix. Okay, we just started calling it the evil snack mix because once you open that bag, it was hard to stop eating it. Okay, so that could have gone better. Probably won't buy that for next time. Okay, second thing that could have gone better, I bought 4 ripe bananas. And we talk about this in other chats. 4 ripe bananas and 4 very green bananas. So there were 2 of us. So the 4 ripe bananas should have lasted us 2 days. 2 bananas per day. And then the 4 very green ones could have been like for 2, other days. We also had apples and, carrots and grapes and things like that. But that was supposed to be for that. So first mistake, the green bananas were so green. Like I've never seen them this green, but I went ahead and bought them. They're still green. Okay, we're back and they're still green. So they were way too green. Second problem was we ate 2 of the ripe bananas, and then apparently I forgot and left them out on the table outside of the camper overnight. Did you know that squirrels can peel bananas? I did not know that, and apparently they can. So we came back to the camper to our other 2 ripe bananas, very, I'm going to say almost neatly, in very thin little strips, peeled. No, they were not plantains, Debbie. They're bananas, but they're bananas, but they're still, they're not green like they're starting to get spots, but anyway, no, they're bananas. But anyway, so they were very thin, very thin. I can't explain it. But John was like, he goes, did you leave banana peels? Because it was just so neat that we were struggling to think that an animal did it. So we ran through the whole list of animals who could have potentially been in our campsite. Turkeys, lots of turkeys, bunnies. Turkeys can't get on the table. Bunnies can't get on the table. The armadillo surely couldn't get up there. So we're going down the list of animal lizards, whatever. That's all we can decide is that squirrels can peel bananas. Anyway, so the other 2 ripe bananas were gone. They were gone. But there were very neat little strips of peel, left for us. Okay, so that could have gone better. And then the third thing that could have gone better is even trying to cut back on the food because we didn't have any kids or grandkids with us. I still bought way too much food. I don't know. It's a disease that I have. I can't not buy too much food. Does anybody else have that problem? Is there anybody else? Yeah, and Debbie says raise your claws. But Debbie, it was so weird. Like, I'm going to go back to the squirrels and the bananas. Okay, my vision of a squirrel, because we have a squirrel out here that tries to destroy our bird feeder at Casey Kitchen Center like every day. And I mean, she's so rough with it. She's just so rough with it that my vision of a squirrel eating a banana would be it just picking it up and just like, rah, manhandling it and destroying it, not this little, thin thing. Anyway, so Sylvia has that disease. Evie does too. So I can't not buy too much. I don't know. I can't do it. So even trying to cut back on food because we didn't have any kids or grandkids with us, I did successfully cut back on food, but we still had too much. And then we had to get really creative that last night, and the next morning. So trying to get rid of the perishables. Okay, but Carol Lou, are possums that neat though? Are they that neat in their peeling? But anyway, yeah, okay, so Dina says that like I'm afraid food will suddenly go away. Hello, yeah, me too, I know. Like, what did I think? I mean, there's food everywhere there. It's not like we were going to starve to death, okay? Even the loss of the bananas. Okay, maybe it was a possum. And no poop. There was no poop. Anyway, okay, I want to talk about poop. So we had way too much. We had too much left, and we had to get really creative with the perishables. That last 2 meals, I'm not even going to tell you what we had for breakfast the last morning because it was strange trying to get rid of the perishables. Anyway, so that could have been handled differently. And then where we could still make some improvements, sodium. So yeah, I gotta figure out how to get that more under control when I'm not in control of the food. You know what I mean? There were a couple of choices that I made at Publix, one of them being the deli meat. So even though I got lighter deli meat, I'm probably not going to be able to do that going forward. I'll probably just have to go ahead and get another turkey breast tenderloin or something where I'm preparing it because, well, I don't know if you know this or not, but lunch meat has way too much sodium in it. I mean, way too much. So I got light deli meat, but it still has way too much sodium. But anyway, so sodium, my feet were so tight and swollen on the trip on the way home. I mean, it was uncomfortable. And John can attest to this. I mean, I was complaining by that last couple of hours. I was complaining and I kept loosening the straps on my sandals. My feet were that swollen. Now they've already gone back down, but sodium. So that's an area that I can still make improvements on. Tracking, I didn't at all. I had planned to, and even on the 2 on, 1 off days, I had totally planned to track, but I didn't track anything except for exercise. That was tracked through my Apple Watch. That's it. I didn't track anything else, and I had planned to. So that's something that I could, that I could still improve on. And then drinking more water. So that's part of the sodium issue. And yes, it does hurt, Cynthia. That's part of the sodium issue. And, and that's something that we can still make improvements on, is drinking more water, John included. And we realized a couple of days in that we were both more than a quart low. You know what I mean? I had purchased what should have lasted us for the whole trip. We didn't even drink half. I mean, like on the way down, and we didn't even drink half that amount. We didn't have nearly enough. How do I say this gently? We didn't have nearly enough. Oh my gosh, I need a potty stops. On the way down. And I had purchased enough water at Publix that we should have been finishing them up on that last day. We had way too many of them left. There were way too many left. So we could make some improvements on our water consumption, while we're on a trip like this. Okay. And then getting back on track, because I do want to share that copycat recipe with you before we go. So getting back on track, lots of water. We pushed it the rest of the way home. Lots of water. I've been chugging the water. We've been chugging water, chugging water. So lots of water. Is the first way we're going to get back on track. Second thing is I went ahead and got what I needed to have: grapefruit and overnight oats for the next 3 mornings to start my day. If you have not seen my 3-day detox, I don't know how many chats back that is. Jessica, when you are posting this, if you would please, and I'll try to remember to make you a note about that, please post the link for the 3-day detox. And I think if you go to youtube.com and then search If You Have an Egg, I'm pretty sure the 3-day detox is the first thing that pops up. I think that's like the main chat that's on there. Now there's 200 and something videos, but I think that's the main one that pops up. But it talks about things like lemon water, water. It talks about foods that are high in water, grapefruit, the oats, things like that to get your digestive system going again. So that's one thing that I got, that I've got ready, is the grapefruit and the overnight oats. And then, and Debbie's exactly right. Drink water and eat watermelon. I've got watermelon in the refrigerator, celery and fruits and you'll see here in a second when I show you this this copycat recipe. I'm pushing the water and the water-filled foods this next couple of days. No added sodium for the next 3 days, so I have nothing that has any added sodium for the next 3 days. Walking, went right back to walking, so I walked with Karen today. I'm walking with Karen again at 9 o'clock in the morning. We will walk again on Thursday. So walking. And I already, since we've been back, I've been taking Dusty to the longer potty trip and back. So back to walking. We got 12 to 16,000 steps a day, but walking, back on track. And then the last thing is I have already pre-tracked my next 6 meals. So that way I won't deviate if I've already pre-tracked it. Because I don't like to go back in and change those. Okay. So pre-tracking the next 6 meals. Okay. So we have like 11 minutes, and I won't keep you the whole 11 minutes, but we have 11 minutes to talk about this copycat recipe. So when we met Orlando Debbie for dinner the night before, right before the chat, I told you all that she had suggested a walk-up restaurant, and it was called The Polite Pig. John thought that we had been there, but apparently we had not. And this is in Disney Springs. Y'all already know that I had messed up the reservation system by choosing not to participate, and that wasn't an option to choose not to participate. So Debbie calmed us down by saying, hey, there are walk-ups at Disney Springs where you don't have to have a reservation. Because no one's waiting on you. You're going to walk up, order your food, and sit down, but you can sit down. And so she looked through them and she suggested the Polite Pig. So, assuming that the reservation system didn't apply to us because we were special, that was a mistake. But anyway, so she saved the day by suggesting somewhere that A, we could walk up to. We did not have to have a reservation. B, they did have tables inside and outside, and the weather was fantastic, so we sat outside. C, or 3, whatever number on, they had some selections that wouldn't completely derail the day. And we could look at the menu and review it. So 2 of the suggestions that she made while we were there. So I had already reviewed the menu. We reviewed it again after we got there. It was clear. There were no questions about it. They did not have one of the salads that I wanted. That was a little disappointing, but I found a good, alternative. But Two of the suggestions that Debbie made were for side salads that were, you know, part of the options on things that you could get to go with your meal, but they were unusual. There were combinations that I would have never, I'm serious, would have never put together, ever. They were fantastic. Sadly, one of them was seasonal, so that's the one that I have decided to copycat here. So they don't offer it all the time, but we went ahead and ordered one of each. So the two that she suggested, I ordered one, she ordered the other one. Then she got extra little trays, and we put half and half, and so we were both able to try them, and they were delicious. So the one that is seasonal, I enjoyed it so much that I decided to copy it at home and share it with you. So it was from the Polite Pig, which is at Disney Springs. They have a blueberry and asparagus. I know, sounds odd, right? But it's a blueberry and asparagus salad. It is a seasonal salad for them, and I wanted to recreate it. I have recreated it in mason jars so that I have enough for the next 4 days. And I'm going to show you how to assemble this here in a second. It's not exactly the same as theirs because I had to take some creative license with WW friendly things, and I also did not have an option on a blueberry dressing. But I did put them, I have assembled 3 of them. I'm going to assemble the 4th one with you, and put them in mason jars so that when I'm ready to eat them, I can just turn it over. So the dressing is on the bottom. I can turn it over when I'm, you know, like about an hour or so before lunch, and that way the dressing will get on everything because I don't want it to be soggy before I start eating it. So, okay, this recipe. So what the recipe included was a spring mix. So what they had for us at the Polite Pig was a spring mix. It had grilled asparagus that was cut into little pieces, blueberries, a blueberry dressing, pepitas, which are just little pumpkin seeds, little roasted pumpkin seeds. They had a blueberry dressing, which I didn't have access to a blueberry dressing, so I chose something different. And then they had a different kind of cheese. I used fat-free feta cheese. So we're going to assemble one here for you, and we have just enough time to do that. So you do not have to use a mason jar, but y'all know how much I love them. This is a wide mouth mason jar. And I always put, when I do a jar salad like this, I always put the dressing on the bottom, and then about an hour before I'm ready to eat it, I flip it over. Just in the jar with the lid on it, I flip it over and then let it mix with the dressing so that everything's not soggy, because these are going to be sitting in the 4th one is going to be sitting in the refrigerator for 4 days. Okay, I don't have access to a blueberry dressing, and I wasn't going to make one, so instead I got some GQ sugar-free raspberry dressing. I found this here in Knoxville. I found this at Food City. GQ's is available, I believe, at Walmart. I've seen it at Publix. Kroger, I think, has it, or you can order it online. This is 2 points for 2 tablespoons, and it is sugar-free. So that's the GQ's sugar-free raspberry vinaigrette. I'm using this in place of the blueberry vinaigrette that they had at the Polite Pig. Then I'm going to add to that, they did not have tomatoes in theirs, but I had some of these little teeny tiny tomatoes left over from what we brought back from our trip. So I just added those on top of the dressing. Nope, you can't see it up there. Okay, so I added those on top of the dressing. Then to that, I just added fresh blueberries, and remember, wash these. Oh yeah, Carol Lou said Skinny Girl Poppy Seed would be good too. That would be good. That would be really good. Then just some, fresh washed blueberries. You're going to put those on top. So you're going to put the more sturdy things on top because they're going to be sitting in the dressing this whole time. So you're going to put those on top. Then on top of that, I went ahead and put my spring mix. So I went ahead and bought a spring mix like they had in their salad at the Polite Pig. So I added some of the spring mix. Then to that, fat-free feta cheese. And if you can't find fat-free, you can use, and if you don't like feta cheese, you can use something else. But if you can't find fat-free, you can use a light, or just use some kind of cheese of your choice. Then on top of the fat-free feta cheese, so far I have 2 points because I've got 2 tablespoons of the dressing. So I have 2 points for the dressing, 0 points for the tomatoes, 0 points for the blueberries. If you chose diabetic or pre-diabetic, when you did your assessment, you may have to count the blueberries. I do not. So for me, the blueberries are 0 points. The spring mix is 0 points. No more feta cheese than I put in here. That is, for me, is 0 points. Yeah, Debbie says goat cheese would work just fine. Then on top of that, you put pepitas. I bought some oven roasted pepitas. I bought them already roasted. So that is 1 tablespoon of those is 1 point. And then to that, you're going to add, and I've got just a couple of minutes to tell you all about this, you're going to add asparagus. So we already have, again, it's just me. It's me and Dusty. And Dusty's asleep. He doesn't care. So it was so nice last week to have Debbie because I could say we, and there actually was a we. Anyway, Dusty and I, me and Debbie remotely, we already have a recipe on IfYouHaveAnEgg.com for air fryer asparagus. If you make the air fryer roasted asparagus for this salad recipe, stop it a couple of minutes early. So don't let it finish because it'll be too crispy for this. So this is basically the air fryer asparagus recipe that's already on IfYouHaveAnEgg.com, but you're gonna stop a couple of minutes early because you don't want it to be too crisp, okay? And then I did the tiniest stalks that I could find. If they're too woody, if they're too big, if the stalks of asparagus are too big and they're too woody, they get a little stringy. So I chose the skinniest ones that I could find and did about 4 to 5 of the little skinny stalks per salad. And then after it cooked, I let it cool off for a few minutes and then poured that on top. And here is what it looks like. And Debbie, you'll have to tell me if this is pretty close. I'm not going to dump it out. Yeah, Debbie says don't char the asparagus. It was grilled and it was lightly grilled. So yeah, don't char it. So if you notice, this is still pretty green. The asparagus is still pretty green. You want it to be just barely cooked, but you do not want it charred. So Debbie will have to tell me if that looks pretty close. I mean, I know it's got a few different ingredients, but again, it is 2 points of G. Hughes sugar-free raspberry vinaigrette. I think it was Carol that said that the skinny girl poppy seed would be good. That would also be good. Yeah, that's in there. That's on the bottom, so everything doesn't get soggy. Then, thank you, Debbie. And then I had some leftover tomatoes. You do not have to include tomatoes. Then the blueberries. Then the spring mix. Then the fat-free feta cheese. Then the pepitas. And then the asparagus. So then you just put the top on the jar. And so now I've got 4 of these ready to go. So I have 4 of these that are identical. I know this is just 2, but I have 4 of these that are identical that are going to go in the fridge here at Casey Kitchen Center that I will have for work. And again, about an hour before you're ready to eat, just flip it upside down, then let the dressing soak in there. Oh yeah, and Debbie said you could replace the blueberries for raspberries with that dressing. That would be awesome. Anyway, about an hour before you're ready to eat, just go ahead and flip it over. And then that way the dressing can get through the whole thing before you put it out on your plate to eat, or you can just shake it up and eat it out of the jar because it's a wide mouth jar. Okay, so that recipe will be up on IfYouHaveAnEgg.com at some point this week. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I did not talk so much about where, because I just realized that Alyssa is with John and is probably listening. But anyway, I hope we didn't talk about too much about where. We had a great time with Orlando Debbie last week. Can't wait to see her again. But yeah, so if you all are watching this later on YouTube, go ahead and let that next video roll over. I promise you're going to enjoy it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and click that subscribe button and then check the little bell so that you'll know when the next time that we post a video. And we will see you next week, and I'll be well rested and we'll be ready to talk about some more things. So you all have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. Good night.